Hello students, Mr. Bastias here. Welcome to Unit 6, Week 1, Day 2. Make sure you have your meaning mapper, article a day, your book of knowledge, and paper and pencil to write with. Today we will learn about another African American hero, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and have discussions on how this hero influenced others. Our focus word this week is influence. Can you say that with me? Repeat after me. Influence. You sound great. How many syllables do you hear in the word influence? Influence. That's right. 3 syllables. Say all the sounds you hear in the word. Repeat after me. I, n, f, u, e, n, s. Influence. Does this word look or sound like a word in another language? It looks and sounds like the word influencia, which means to influence in Spanish. Let's get started with our article a day. Our article is titled Jean-Michel Basquiat. Look at the photograph. What do you see? I see a lot of colorful graffiti. Graffiti is when urban artists spray paint on walls. Jean-Michel Basquiat was a painter. His art often shows words, symbols, stick figures, and animals. This is an example of Jean-Michel Basquiat's art. As you can see, it has stick figures and words. He used strong colors in his art. He showed emotion through his art. Emotions are feelings that all people have. Love, hate, fear, and anger are some emotions that people feel. In Spanish, we say emoción o sentimiento. Jean-Michel Basquiat showed his emotions through his art. Jean-Michel grew up in New York City. When he was a child, Jean-Michel's mother would take him to museums. She would encourage his interest in art. If someone encourages your interest in something, they support your interest in it and try to help you go forward with it. So Jean-Michel Basquiat's mother would take him to museums because she wanted to encourage his interest in art. He loved to draw cartoons. Jean-Michel once said that he got his art from his mother. This is a picture of Jean-Michel Basquiat. When he was a teenager, Jean-Michel started to create graffiti on buildings and trains in New York City. When you create something, you make something completely new. In Spanish, we say crear. Jean-Michel Basquiat created graffiti on buildings. Graffiti is something written, scratched, or drawn on subway cars, buses, or walls in public spaces. He also made paintings. They were soon shown in museums in New York. Basquiat started to become famous in his 20s. His paintings started to sell for a lot of money. Jean-Michel Basquiat started drawing graffiti in the streets of New York, then painting, and eventually his paintings ended up in museums. Unfortunately, Jean-Michel Basquiat died when he was young. He was only 27 years old when he died. But even in his short life, he was able to make a big impact with his art. Jean-Michel Basquiat, even though he lived a very short time, he was able to influence a lot of people with his paintings. Now, please take out your book of knowledge. I want you to write down or draw 2 or 3 things you learned from the article and would like to remember. Pause the video and take a moment to do this now. I'm going to go back to my article a day to find evidence that I can write in my book of knowledge. The first thing I learned is that Jean-Michel Basquiat was a painter. I'm going to write that down in my book of knowledge. I learned that Jean Jean-Michel Basquiat was a painter. I also learned that Jean-Michel Basquiat created graffiti on buildings and trains in New York City. I also learned that Jean-Michel Basquiat created graffiti on buildings in New York City. Notice I said that he created, adding ed at the end of create, because it is a word in the past tense. He created this when he was alive. This makes me think of art class because the article was about art. Let me think of art class because the article is about art. Please take out your meaning mapper. In the middle of our meaning mapper, we have our focus word influence. Influence is the power to cause change in something or to make people act or change in some way. What word does this article make you think of that relates to the word influence? Add that word to your meaning mapper. I added the word encourage. When you encourage someone, you can influence them to follow their dreams. Just like Jean-Michel Basquiat's mother encouraged his love of art, which influenced him to paint. And that's it for me, students. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.